Alright guys, so we're taking a look. This is this week's bonus video for you. Um, I'm sitting there and you follow my article. This week I was taking a look at Aggro. I had a lot of fun with the deck and I was kind of writing up my final thoughts and was talking about ways you could change the deck, beyond red and beyond blue. And I talked about how I thought black would be kind of a good addition to the deck because it does bring you kill spells and some control. Um, as I was talking about it, it just really struck, and I really liked the idea, and I thought, this would be a great idea for the bonus video. Why don't I put something together real quick, in green and black, and just kind of see how it runs. And I hate to say it, but after having done so, you'll see the first deck I played, the first game that I played with this deck, and it really kind of brought in all aspects that I really wanted to kind of address in the single game, so I didn't have to do a lot of playtesting to get a really good example video. But I had so much fun with this deck that I almost kind of regrettably wish that I had made this my focus of the article and that I had had this inspiration before now, and gotten a chance to do this instead of the green-blue version. But that's the way the world works. I may still continue to play test this and see where it goes. But anyways, so we're looking at this deck. Kind of was drawing some inspiration from, the version of red-green aggro burn, as I've come to call it, that has shown up quite a few times in recent weeks. A really interesting deck. Basically uses all green creatures, and all of its non-creatures are red, pretty much burn spells, to kind of beat up on its opponent. And kind of the spotlight of this deck is, of course, the Jorel Centaur and the Blastoderm. These are great creatures. They have, the Shroud, which is fantastic. Excuse me, I am sick. I'm just trying to not choke and start coughing in the mic. But, so they have the evasion through Shroud. They get, great abilities, with the flanking on the Centaur. It's incredibly troublesome for anything to block. Double blocking even becomes troublesome because it can kill more. Blastoderm, it does, go away after so many turns, but it is a 5/5 for 4, and with the mana kind of fix in this deck, you have the ability very easily to get that out on turn 4. So we take a look at this list right here and what I brought in, in kind of sticking with the theme relating to the red-green deck that has made such a splash with me. I kept a full set of Wayfinders. I kept the Llanowar Elves to kind of bounce up my mana, ramp it up. I also kept 3 copies of the Elder to deal with the artifacts and stuff. I really loved, playing the other deck, having this main. It gives you a lot of options to get around that. You also get, I cut down the Safehold Elite to 3. It's a decent card, good not great in my opinion, but the Persist does make it troublesome to deal with. So I figured alongside black I wanted to bring in kill spells. I did opt for Doomblade in this one because it does have the colorless cost. If I was building this more stably, I would build a sideboard and have an option to switch out Doomblade, because if you get in a matchup against mono black, then you've just caught yourself with 4 dead cards. So I guess an argument could be made that you can fetch out the black, but again, you come into that situation I talked about in the other one, where if you get too many double black spells, it's very hard to leave enough black mana open to cover multiple double black spells. In other words, I would find myself hard pressed to have a Chittering Rats and be able to play a double black kill, because I would need to have 4 swamps into play, and the deck's only running 6 total. You could bring in something like, I guess, Edict to deal with that, but it's not targeted, so I did kind of stay away from that. I also brought in Echoing Decay main deck, kind of a rock thing going on here. Rock was always kind of built around this idea that you were kind of countering the current metagame, and I think having Echoing Decay and the Elder main deck are really great options, great opportunities to do that. Even the Retrace on Raven's Crime. If an opponent decides to counterspell it, you have the option to keep playing it and playing it and playing it, unless he manages to remove your graveyard. So, talking about that real quick, there are Retrace. I'm spacing on the name right now, but there is a burn spell that does 1 for 1 red with Retrace, and that I found is really a great thing. You do occasionally find yourself very mana flooded in this deck, so having the ability to retrace is great. and Raven's Crime gives you continuous discard. And keeping with the hand control, I also brought in 4 copies of Chittering Rats and 2 Undying Evil. I talked about this before. If you get Undying Evil and Chittering Rats, it's very annoying for your opponent. It's not overpowered. It's not really strong. It's a good play. It's a solid play, and it's very frustrating because it stops the draw. Also, I brought in 2 copies of the Shinobi. I think this is good. You can switch in. If you get the elite down to a 1/1 after persist, you can switch in the Shinobi for the elite to get it back as a 2/2. You can bring it in for the Elder. You could even bring it in for the Blastoderm. To reset the counters. So I think it's a really good addition to the deck. I also brought in 2 of the cycling lands. Where's the other one? The other one seems to be lost on my page, but maybe we scroll over. There it is. Yeah, Barrenmore. I did bring in. Let's move him here. 1 of each of the cycling lands. I just felt that it's a little card draw. It's not gonna hose anything up too bad because they come into play tapped. If you run too many, then it can be an issue. Like I said, I haven't done extensive playtesting on this deck. I just wanted to kind of keep this as a bonus video, something fun, show you kind of how I think it could have gone. I might have upped the swamp count a little, but let's take a look at the game that I ended up playing. This is the first game that I sat down with this deck, like I said. Not exactly well tested, but that's okay. Like I said, just a bonus, something to have fun with. Hopefully I think this video might cut off a little bit here, but hopefully it's enough you guys can still see it. Pretty good opening hand. I have the ability to not only cycle the turn 1 Barrenmore, I also have the green mana available so I can get the Safehold Elite in on turn 2 and draw a second one. That's fantastic. Opponent puts down a mountain there. Not too worried about that. If it's burn, it puts me in a really good position because I do even have in hand the Centaur and the Blastoderm for Shroud. And the elites will come back. So Forest goes down, elite comes into play. He puts down a Banneret. Now I do have Echoing Decay, and this is something that I want to get rid of. There are, I've had a lot of trouble with kind of casual decks featuring kind of an elemental theme where you do get this reduced spell cost, causing issues. But I am holding off on the Echoing Decay because it's really disappointing to use that and kill 1 creature. You want to use that to kill as many creatures as possible. So I didn't draw land number 3, but I am going to swing through with the Safehold Elite. There's no point for him to block it, and I'm going to take this opportunity to play the second one. Alright, so opponent's turn. He does hit his 3rd land drop and does get down a 2nd banner, and now I'm feeling great about the choice to leave that decay in hand because I have the opportunity to kill that off. Finally draw into a mana source in Llanowar Elves, but it is not a land. So I swing first. I'm trying to gather my thoughts. I have options here. Undying Evil can be used in conjunction with these guys even though they have persist. I can put an Elves down and have this open. I also have the mana available to kill both of these guys. And as this game is progressing, I did decide that I wanted to get rid of these. It's like I said, I didn't want him to come into anything troublesome big that I could not handle. So I did want to try and kill those off. But he taps green and he had a Vines of the Vastwood, so it gives this guy Shroud. Definitely sucks for me because it will counter Echoing Decay and they both stay on the field. But the Safehold Elite comes back if he decides to attack through. I will chump and trade, which he does. So I do chump block to trade. He does cast a Colossal Might, making this guy a 5/3 Trampler, which is going to hurt. So I take 5 damage, his guy stays on the field. So you see, again, did not draw another land. Very, very bad for me. It was one of those points in time you're like, wow, I wish I had played the Barrenmore instead of cycling it. Draw into the 2nd Undying Evil, but that's okay because I will put down Llanowar Elves. And I do have the option to use Undying Evil again on either one of those. So attacking through with the Elite, there's really no point in leaving back. It's clearly he's got pump spells, but I don't want to play this too defensively. This deck is supposed to be very, it's very aggro based. It's very heavy on creatures. You kind of want to be the aggressor in most cases. So opponent's turn. He plays his 4th land. Uses Soul's Fire to kill off my Llanowar Elves. and I do use Undying on this. Landware Elves is something I definitely want to not be gone for good. I am short on land, so having that mana source is really important to me, and it stops my opponent from attacking through. That just tells me that this one card in his hand is not a pump spell. So finally draw into a forest. Now I have the opportunity. I can play Blastoderm, thanks to my Llanowar Elves. I also have options to play the Centaur. I could even, if I wanted to, swap in the Shinobi. So I attack through with that, leaving the Elves back because I want to use them for mana. And I tap that out for Blastoderm. So now my opponent not sitting too good. He's got 2 1/1 creatures, 1 card in hand, 5 lands on the field, and he's sitting across from an untargetable Blastoderm, which is 5/5. Draw into another land, which is, again, great position. I'm going to attack through with all my creatures and looking to get in the Shinobi and get rid of whatever this card is in his hand. Being that it's only 1 card, I'm not terribly, afraid of it, but at the same time, he's not going to be able to kill these creatures, and it's just going to give me a good opportunity to really further my lead. You see, I was a little wrong. He does have another Vines of the Basswood. It was a pump spell. It does trade with the Blastoderm. I was very, disappointed by that. I was very wrong on my kind of guessing, and it does happen. This is Magic. It is a game. I made an assumption, and I was wrong in my assumption. Sometimes you win some and you lose some, So he girls into Lightning Bolt to kill off the Shinobi. Very disappointing. Didn't have the mana open to put out Undying Evil, but you see I draw into Raven's Crime. He has no cards in hand right now, but it's a great thing to have later on. He is sitting on pump spells, so if he's got a pump spell in hand, it's going to be able to tear that out. If he's got no creatures on the field, he's going to hold it in hand. So we're going to tap 3. I put out the Centaur, and I left the black open. I do have Undying Evil. But I realize I cannot play it. The elves will not come back because they already have a +1/+1 counter on them. And the Centaur is Shroud, so I cannot use Undying Evil here on any of my creatures. But you see now, he's keeping a card in hand. I can use Raven's Crime on him to try and get rid of that, and he does show Incinerate. In response to that, I am going to tap my elf. I do have plenty of mana to cast the Elite, but you still, leave mana open where you can. So I'm going to use the mana from that to help play the elf and swing through with the Centaur. So sitting pretty good. Still, this is why I was saying I might up the swamp count by at least 1. Cannot play Undying Evil on this elf, but it's alright. I'm not too worried about it. My hand is really kind of drawn dead. This is a little frustrating because I'm definitely a hand advantage kind of person. But he plays another Banneret. It's not going to be able to really hold these off. He can block this and save 2. If he blocks the Centaur is going to kill it. Before all that happens. With the flanking and everything. So he decides not to block it. I really should have attacked with both there. That was a misclick on my part. You occasionally get that lag where you click and click Centaur, click Elf, click OK, and you realize that only the Centaur actually picked up on it. So, but no big deal. I have 2 elves, I have Undying Evil, and my opponent is sitting on 1/1 creature and 3 life. So whatever you drew here was not enough to help him get out of this hole that he had been dug in, and I take the win away. So there you go. That's a look at this deck. Let's pop it up again real quick, and just some ideas if you did decide to go with green and black, what you could do. For my own personal casual use, I'm probably going to continue to mess around with this deck and alter it. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed it.